Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are finally settling one of the biggest nutritional debates of the last decade. I mean, it seems like every health trend, every brunch menu, it's all about this one single food. We are talking, of course, about the avocado, specifically the Haas avocado. But forget the memes, forget the anecdotes. You asked us to skip all that and go straight to the medical journals. So our mission today is laser-focused. What do the best human studies, the gold standard RCTs and systematic reviews, really confirm about a daily dose of avocado? We're just cutting through all the noise.
And that focus is so important because when we talk about this, we're only looking at the most robust, trustworthy evidence. And, almost all the successful human trials use one specific variety, the common Haas avocado. They're looking at concrete things, cardiovascular markers, metabolic health, cognitive function, not just, vague feelings of wellness.
Right. And before we get into the nitty-gritty, let's just state the main finding up front, because the dose here, the quantity, seems to matter immensely.
Oh, it absolutely does. Look, if you want to replicate the benefits they found in these studies, the research points overwhelmingly to one specific amount. 1 Haas avocado per day.
One a day.
That's the dose. It's usually around 120 to 150 grams of the actual fruit. That's the intervention dose that gets these significant measurable results.
Okay, so let's start with the big one, the claim that really put avocados on the map. Heart health and specifically cholesterol. So many foods claim to lower cholesterol. What do the really rigorous studies show?
So the evidence for improving your lipid profile is strong. We're talking moderate to high quality, but it's not a blanket fix for everyone. Including 1 avocado a day can modestly but significantly reduce your LDL cholesterol.
Okay.
But here's the nuance. The effect is most pronounced in specific groups. We're talking about adults who are overweight or obese, or people who already have high cholesterol to begin with. Hypercholesterolemia.
Wait, so if I'm already a pretty healthy person, my cholesterol is fine, I might not see a huge change. But if I'm struggling with high LDL, this is a legitimate research-backed tool.
That's exactly it. The benefit shows up most where the body needs that metabolic help. I mean, systematic reviews that pool all the data from these randomized trials, they show a statistically significant drop in LDL-C. That's the bad cholesterol. For those adults with high cholesterol we just mentioned, reductions of around 9.4 milligrams per deciliter were pretty common.
That might not sound like a huge number to some people.
It might not, but it's consistent and it's clinically meaningful, especially when you sustain it over time.
That is fascinating. Okay, so why does it work? What's the mechanism? Is it just all the healthy fats, the MUFAs?
The MUFAs, the monounsaturated fats like oleic acid, are, they're the foundation. But the mechanism is actually more complex. We found 3 main drivers.
Okay.
First, and this is probably the most critical takeaway for you, is the substitution effect. The benefit is biggest when the avocado's healthy fats replace something else.
Replace, not just add.
Exactly. You swap out sources of saturated fat like butter, mayo, some processed oils, or refined carbs like chips.
Yeah.
You're swapping that with the avocado. You're upgrading the whole diet's fat ratio.
So if I usually have, say, a processed cheese snack with my lunch, and I swap that for half an avocado, I'm getting a double benefit, taking out the bad and adding the good.
Precisely. It's a strategic nutritional upgrade. The second mechanism involves something called phytosterols.
Phytosterols?
Yeah, avocados are rich in them, specifically one called beta-sitosterol. These are natural compounds that basically compete with cholesterol for absorption in your gut. They act like little blockers.
Wow.
So less of the dietary cholesterol you eat actually gets into your bloodstream. And then finally, the third thing is that it changes the type of cholesterol particles you have. It specifically reduces the small, dense LDL particles.
And those are the really dangerous ones, right?
They're considered the most dangerous, the most atherogenic. So the avocado is targeting the worst kind of LDL.
That is powerful. It's not just a fat bomb. It's a strategic tool.
And there was some long-term data on this too, right?
Yes, and this is important. While the trials are shorter term, there's observational data that tracked hundreds of thousands of people for decades. It found that eating just 2 servings of avocado a week was associated with a 16 to 21% lower risk of cardiovascular disease over time.
So the small changes we see in the trials likely add up to real-world protection over a lifetime.
That's the idea.
So that covers the long term. What about right after you eat it, the immediate impact?
The acute effect. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. Studies show that putting half to a whole avocado into a single meal, like breakfast, does 2 things right away. First, It blunts that post-meal glucose and insulin spike.
Okay, that's huge.
It is. And second, it significantly improves something called flow-mediated dilation, or FMD.
FMD, what's that?
It's a marker of how healthy your blood vessels are. It basically means your blood vessels are relaxing and blood is flowing more efficiently, like right after you eat. A rapid boost to your vascular system. That immediate vascular benefit is fantastic. But look, if we're talking about the single most robust, highest certainty finding in all this research, it's actually not about what's in the avocado. It's about what it does for other foods. Tell us about this nutrient booster effect.
This is the highest grade of evidence we found, hands down. It's a definitive mechanistic outcome shown in multiple consistent trials. When you add avocado or even just avocado oil to a meal that's rich in carotenoids, so think your salad, salsa, carrots, tomato sauce, it dramatically increases your absorption of those nutrients.
And when you say dramatically, what are we talking about here? I think most people figure a little olive oil on their salad does the trick.
The difference is, well, it's stark. In one trial, eating avocado with salsa increased lycopene absorption by 4.4 times.
4 times.
And beta-carotene by 2.6 times. But wait, here's the real kicker.
Uh-oh.
You combine avocado with a mixed leafy green salad. The absorption of alpha-carotene went up by an astounding 17.4-fold. 17 times. So let me get this straight. Eating the avocado with the salad makes that salad 17 times more powerful nutritionally than eating the salad alone.
That is the practical takeaway, yes. You are multiplying the nutritional value of your entire meal. These critical antioxidants for eye health, skin health, they go from being poorly absorbed to being excellently absorbed.
Just by adding the avocado.
Just by adding the avocado.
What is happening? Why does this work? What's the mechanism?
It's all about the chemistry in your gut. Carotenoids are fat-soluble. They can't get into your body efficiently unless they're packaged into these little structures called micelles. The monounsaturated fats in the avocado create the perfect fat matrix to build these micelles. Without enough of the right kind of fat, those valuable nutrients from your salad or your tomato, they just pass right through you.
So the avocado is like a delivery system.
It's a super absorption delivery system, and it works for the carotenoids in the other food and also for the ones already in the avocado itself, like lutein and zeaxanthin. Okay, let's tackle the big question, the calorie paradox. Avocados are dense, a whole wing can be 200, 250 calories. So how does the science explain adding that many calories a day, and yet it doesn't lead to weight gain? Doesn't that sort of violate physics?
It's the #1 point of skepticism, but the evidence is really consistent. It doesn't violate physics. It changes your behavior and your feeling of fullness, your satiety. Acute trials show that if you replace carbs with half or a whole avocado, you significantly increase subjective satiety. People just feel fuller.
For how long?
For 3 to 5 hours after the meal. And it also elevates key satiety hormones like PYY and GLP-1. And the big trials, like the H8T trial, confirmed it. Adding 1 avocado a day for 6 months, no weight gain.
So people just eat less later.
That's the hypothesis. They make these unconscious compensatory adjustments because they just aren't as hungry.
An investment in fullness. And there was a specific finding on body fat too, right? For women.
Yes, a small but really significant finding. In women, daily avocado consumption was linked to a reduction in visceral adipose tissue, or VAT.
That's the dangerous fat, the deep internal fat around your organ.
Exactly. So weight neutral overall, but may specifically target the most dangerous kind of fat in women.
Okay, from satiety to the gut. That mix of healthy fat and all that fiber must be doing something to our microbiome.
It absolutely does. A 12-week trial found daily avocado consumption significantly increased alpha diversity in the gut.
Which is a good thing.
It's a very good thing. It's a measure of how many different types of beneficial bacteria you have. Higher diversity is linked to a healthier, more resilient gut. It also promoted shifts towards good bacteria like Faecalibacterium. These bacteria ferment the avocado's fiber and produce short-chain fatty acids, SCFAs.
Right.
And those SCFAs are like positive chemical messages sent from your gut to the rest of your body, helping with things like insulin sensitivity.
A powerful ripple effect. Okay, last one. The brain. We talked about how avocado boosts lutein, and we know lutein accumulates in the brain. What does that mean for how we think?
So the evidence here is more emerging, let's say low to moderate certainty, but it's incredibly promising. The increase in lutein that we see in the blood correlates directly with cognitive improvements. In trials with older adults, around 63 years old, daily consumption for 6 months improved key measures of executive function. We're talking sustained attention, problem-solving efficiency.
Wow.
And they could measure it. They found it increased macular pigment density, the MPD, which is a good biomarker for how much lutein is actually in your brain tissue.
So it's not just a correlation, there's a physical marker.
Exactly. And even in younger overweight adults, a 12-week trial showed it improved attentional inhibition, basically, your ability to focus and tune out distractions.
This deep dive has been so clear. So let's synthesize this. For someone listening right now who wants to apply this tomorrow, what are the 3 most essential research-backed actions?
Okay, based on the strongest evidence, here are the 3 core actions. Number 1, if your goal is lipid benefits, you have to use the substitution principle. Replace one daily source of saturated fat or refined carbs, your mayo, your butter, a processed snack, with one Hass avocado. Don't just add it, substitute.
Gotta substitute.
Number 2, to maximize that incredible booster effect for carotenoid absorption, always eat your avocado with carotenoid-rich foods. Your leafy greens, carrots, tomatoes, bell peppers. That synergy is high certainty. Don't let those nutrients go to waste.
Okay, and number 3.
And third, for glycemic control and satiety, you want to strategically place that half or whole avocado within a meal. Use its fat and fiber to blunt that glucose spike and keep you full for hours.
That makes the science so easy to put into practice. But before we wrap, safety. Are there any clinically important interactions people need to know about?
Yes, 2 crucial ones. The most serious is with the blood thinner medication warfarin. There are documented case reports where a big, abrupt change in avocado intake, either starting a daily habit or stopping one, can cause a drop in your INR, which reduces the drug's effectiveness.
If you're on warfarin, you need to be very careful.
You need to maintain consistent intake and talk to your doctor. Monitor your INR closely if you change your habits. And then allergies. There's a known latex-fruit cross-reactivity, so if you have a latex allergy, be aware. And finally, a practical tip. Eat it fresh and raw. Prolonged high heat can degrade some of those heat-sensitive antioxidants like lutein.
This has been illuminating. I mean, we started with anecdotes and we ended with such specific, targeted research. The big takeaways for me are that LDL reduction through substitution, the mind-blowing carotenoid boosting effect, and that link to executive function in older adults.
So what does this all mean? The research paints a very clear picture. The avocado is a safe, effective, and nutrient-dense part of a heart-healthy diet, as long as you follow that substitution principle. It's a tool for elevating your whole diet.
A tool for elevating. I like that.
But, for a final provocative thought, while all this evidence is strong, the human research is all short to medium term, mostly 6 months or less. We have great data on markers, LDL, lutein levels, satiety hormones.
Not on the ultimate outcome.
Exactly. The gold standard long-term randomized trials tracking hard endpoints like actual heart attacks, strokes, or mortality over 10 or 20 years, they just don't exist yet. And that leaves this huge critical question unanswered. How much does that daily avocado ultimately extend your life? That's the deepest dive that's still waiting to be done.